of the board meeting posted on the board website. Check with the if there are any our guests, please sign in. Okay, thank you. You're not a guest, you're now. Um,
Susan Ballard. Here. Hal Balter. Wilson Gordon. Robert Campbell. Jerome Headley. Philip Lim. Bill Lockwood. Chris Thompson.
Here.
Frank Wagster.
Here.
Ricky Versailles.
He's here. Here.
Stephen King.
Here.
And Laura Runbo.
I love the roll call. All right, thank you. I'd like to acknowledge our guests. If you would introduce yourself to the board, please. Starting thank you. Welcome to our meeting. Announcements. Oh, and then, yeah, as I said earlier, let's try to be as brief as we can today so we get out of here. We'd like to leave it about 30 minutes. So we're gonna roll through this agenda.
We'll have a break at 10:30.
Yes.
People can go check out.
Yeah, we all need to check out. I brought my bags, so
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock's check. So we can leave by 11 is what you're saying. All right, the agenda. Are there any changes or additions to the agenda? None? Okay, so then we're gonna rock and roll. Open forum. Quick. No, but we do have guests, I'm sorry. No, oh, you're not here to speak? Think you would speak. Oh, never mind. Don't let that intimidate you. I'm just telling these guys, because we've been on board for several years.
If you want something to complain about, we've got plenty of things.
Or if you want to compliment us, we've got plenty of
It's here to vote.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. All right, that being said, about the consent agenda, John.
Okay, let's see what page you're on. 66. 66.
Would you?
Yes, page 66, it's from the August meeting. For your review.
Motion approved.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? It's free. Let's check that one off. So, staff complete.
That's on page 77 on your iPad. These are all complaints in which the respondent was disciplined in another jurisdiction. The discipline was less than the suspension or revocation. So in accordance with board policy, we issued a letter of caution and recommend closure. You can vote on these as agreed.
So, second. All in favor? Or, excuse me, discussion.
Quick question, do we notice any other state more than others? I think it's pretty well matched.
It's a variety of states. Some states are better about reporting their discipline properly. You can see them against others. There are a few states that do not report their actions to the national disciplinary database. And NCAR, Clark, and NCWS all have databases that check monthly. And CIDQ used to have one, they don't anymore. So we can't check those. Some states do not post their actions for a variety of reasons. Maybe their laws don't allow them to, the interpretation of their laws, or they just don't do it. So I think they say we just don't have the time to do it. So it's a variety of reasons. But the majority of states do report their actions.
Don Ball, members. We all agree. That we need to go international. Exactly. You've done something like, you forgot to renew your license. I mean, that's why we do it.
You want mine?
Yes.
Okay. My opinion is I would prefer states report everything, all disciplinary actions, and then leave it to the states to evaluate those actions for the fund actions to be taken on our part. That's my preference.
Well, I've got new parts.
Well, and I've expressed that.
TV said we are not rule for. But that's what.
But what one state considers minor, and we might consider major. Like some states that continuing education violations consider very minor. Other states it's not.
Plus, I think it does, it may help establish if there's a pattern. If somebody's got several minors across the board, then it may be something we need to.
That's what I'm talking about. You are considered. Works great. Right, thank you. Motion second, all in favor? Yes.
We call it that because those are like process by staff that aren't legal because a letter of caution. So that is where it's separate from the legal.
Okay. Thank you. Special society care, pretty well.
Okay, I will be brief. First of all, I want to remind you that we have an election coming up, and who knows how the flavor of the House and the Senate will change as a result of this. But we've got a lot of ballot issues too, and the General Assembly will be coming back on January 12th. So we'll have a new legislative session, a bunch of people who don't really know the importance of architects, engineers, landscape architects, and interior designers. That's it. And I especially want to thank I don't know if any other engineers came to our session at our conference a couple of weeks ago. Other board members. Thank you very much for doing that. Yes, for their just coming to support John, you don't need to raise your hand. Well, we talked about it in PBS.
Do it, Robert.
Well, I was just thinking, can you talk for? It's up to you.
Hey, just don't do it, Jack Nigger.
You can always watch the time to get out of it. Okay, so I'm gonna make 1.5 hours now.
Thank
I'll do whatever you want.
2 hours. All right, we'll do it.
Is that about Robert? So that's all in Knoxville, that's the key.
Yes, and there will be, we expect architects to be there too. In Knoxville, I do not remember off the top of my head, Susan, but.
I don't think one of that, it just seems.
Well, it hasn't been advertised yet, because I'm waiting for Don Freeman.
It's in them, that's a really good job.
Yeah. I doubt it.
I hope you're in section.
I apologize, I failed to identify myself as Ken Culver, Tennessee Society of Professional Engineers and American Council of Engineering Companies of Tennessee. Any other questions or observations for me? Okay,
Thank you, Candy. Next.
Good morning. I'm Ashley Cates. I'm the Executive Vice President of the American Institute of Architects for the Tennessee chapter. Today, as we talked about the PBS, Candy's working with the local components for each section, but I will be happy to send out, work with local components statewide. In addition, really the only announcement we have, we're gearing up for a session. Right now we have
where are we on the city? Right,
We're in discussions.
Oh. still in discussion, all right.
We mentioned as far as that, we brought up the complexity factor.
Well, the fact that we're ready to do so much more with state council, not being compensated for professionals, it's really started with partners.
Yes.
Our report will be short too. We're not at this time expecting using legislation in upcoming sessions of the Tennessee General Assembly. Certainly important work with the board and other professional associations and what legislative issues arise that affect us. The American Society of Interior Designers Tennessee chapter is holding their statewide convention today. They did yesterday and today and tomorrow. This afternoon there's a reception at the Preston Hotel in Nashville. If any of you are driving that direction, which is about 5:30, and then some CUs tomorrow. Other than that, and working with you on legislative issues, but the QBS issue, we're happy to do so. Looking forward to the coming year. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Nathan Ridley. I'm legislative counsel for the Tennessee chapter of Landscape Architects. We're just coming off our annual meeting in Southeast Tennessee in Chattanooga. Alan Jones is our president of the Landscape Drafting Conference. And so there's energy in the profession now. It's kind of nice when the economy does better, so that's a good thing. And our incoming president will be Alicia Healy here in the Nashville area. We're excited. It's hard to get someone to be the president-elect because they have to plan the conference. So then we get to be the president. That's pretty easy. Our executive committee is going to meet on December the 13th. So we're intrigued by this QBS conversation that y'all are having. We're big believers in that. I guess and sometimes I'll bring my bias as a lawyer to it. There's a bunch of lawyers out there and they'll do it for not much money to work, but you might not be real happy with the service. So y'all are doing the right thing here. We just have to preach the sermons of the preacher that it sees and the counties. I mean, I passionately believe this, and lots of landscape architects work with architects and engineers on a hospitality. So we're for y'all on that. So we take that pretty seriously. And like Kenny mentioned, the election's important to us. We try to have a culture of civic engagement in our chapter, and we know that the election's on November the 4th. Early voting starts on October the 15th. All the state house votes are up, and half of the state senate, Governor Hassel will be reelected, so we don't worry about that too much. There are also 4 constitutional amendments that are up. The first one about abortion, and the second one about the judicial selection process. I don't know about those two, but I know the third one's going to pass. It says we won't have an income tax. I know it'll pass, but it might be short-sighted because if you do that, what you tell policymakers, not for me, but for my children, is that we'll always have a sales tax, a business tax, and maybe a tax on services. So be careful what you wish for. You get the yes, but not the income tax. Every governor since Ellie Senator has raised sales tax, except for this governor and Governor something. Governor Grayson didn't have to do it because they did it right at the end of the this administration. So if you want that sales tax to be 12 cents on your bill, send it out, you could apply for that income tax. But then the last one about charitable gambling, but that was for I don't think that's how our students but they did the cutting room floor when we did our state lottery because some of the veterans groups had behaved very badly. And Senator Steve Cohen from Memphis, who really wanted the state lottery to pass, didn't want their baggage screwing up his vote on the state lottery, so he was okay on the charitable. He's having a meaningful event. So anyway, I don't know. Session starts on 13th. Like I said, we don't have our agenda. We'll be over Jeff Hines' office in Nashville with engineering. And that's good because that helped us, because that our group, we don't usually make a conference call, but that's a big deal. It's all those separate. Oh, another thing on Alex Wine and grocery stores. Mrs. Ridley doesn't care if they sell wine at Home Depot, but I think it will pass overwhelmingly in almost all of the 8 jurisdictions that will vote. I think not the grocery stores, but the convenience stores and the big stores that will really change the marketing of wine.
Is that occurring 2025?
Yeah, 16. It's kind of
Ridiculous.
Rick's observation is a good one. There'll be a lot of pressure on our legislative friends if you're in a city or county that passes that with 75 or 80% of the vote to move that sell-by date up to 2015 instead of July 1, 2016. And you know the retailers will be saying, no way, the deal's a deal for the deal. So it'll be an interesting tension there. But stick your guns on QBS. Our chapter must be very supportive of the statute. And y'all know, I mean, we're kind of the Achilles heel of the statute. The statute speaks specifically to architectural engineering services. We always try to say, hey, landscape architects really fast on that too. So, because we work so closely with other professions. That's all I have.
But Nathan, I think something that we, just for your information, correct, it was in the Brooks Act that we talked about yesterday, the landscape architectural inclusion. It's a federal act, so, my interpretation, I don't know if it's, but if it's in the Brooks Act, that's kind of the coming down, the whole thing that we, have to have that as an inclusion.
That's very good.
That's Robert's interpretation.
Like I said, there's a lot of people practicing law out there. Thank you. That's very helpful. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Okay, any other professional society members? Robert, can we move over to legal counsel? This is the board's AG right here.
All right, we've been really working on the QPS thing for quite some time now. The engineers attended the NCAAS annual meeting in Seattle. The discussion right there was hoping to acquire some national news and saying that it's the introduction of the first 2 cases that are combined here that you've heard before. It was previously presented December 5th, 2013, last year. It had to do with QPS. Previously approved a civil penalty of $1,000. But this didn't invite our discussion yesterday, actually, this sort of we're not quite sure exactly what to do yet on it. It just seems to be a little unfair to be formally disciplined people for violating this.
authority that put out the RFQ to John about asking for a fee. And John had come back with a response that the authority, the public authority, had put out an addendum without not including, if they don't include the fee with their RFQ, that's not going to be taken into consideration. So, and you know, we both agreed to this penalty, but in light of what Robert's saying from what we heard yesterday about this, I agree with Robert, and I would hope that the board takes the same way.
We're creating a record in decision.
Yeah.
Every time we talk to them.
Two things. What's the effective date? March 11th, 2013. And this complaint date is post after that. Okay. And on your point is our inaction of an existing rule setting a precedent that others in the future, if the state unit action against the site that is within its system, that would jeopardize the intent of the rule. As long as the board being arbitrary, don't have,
I mean, we don't know how to apply it against everything. If we look arbitrary, it doesn't open up to some kind of like.
but I think we all agree that the spirit we've been working on refining as it applies to subconsulting, but the spirit as it applies to all professional services regardless of. I mean, is that correct? Until there's a third consensus on that?
That's my question.
Okay, I'm good. We'll look through.
There was one issue that I was seeing that was very confusing that hadn't come up unless there but the one that you sent me some more information on after Francis. I don't know if it's anything or not, but our attorney, there's a lot of questions about what the board office that told him about what he could do and what he couldn't do. It was very confusing. I think that's an example of what I'm talking about. I don't guess anybody's seen that with me. I don't know.
You know, in our discussions about QBS and what I've seen published about QBS, I've never seen that confusion about a government official hiring a professional director. I don't think there's ever been any confusion of what we put out there that you can't take this from professional services and you can't do the seal off the love second off. I don't think we've ever put out anything contrary to that or even in our discussion. I haven't heard anybody questioning those things. The questions have been other, have spin-off issues like subconsulting
And I believe that's, I'll take Vice Chairman's privilege here, but I believe that's correct. Is the two issues that we currently have that are in flux are what are the lines on the subconsultant and how does this apply to alternative delivery methods? And I think those are the two issues that we need to get more clarification on. I think our FAQs and our response to this has been fairly consistent on an RFQ that asks for pricing either in the sealed envelope or some other method. And I believe that we're pretty, as a board, I've never heard us waver from that point. And so I would make a motion that we continue forward with the original recommendation. Because in this case, we may come up with others later, but this case, it's straightforward as to a purchasing agency asking for price, and then the professional submitting some sort of price. So I think we were dead on. So I'll make a motion to that.
Second.
The motion was second, is for further discussion. Not all in favor?
say aye. Aye. Opposed, none. Motion carries.
All right, there, next is under board review number 3. Rick, what you have? So let's let you discuss that.
Just give me a second. This is one that Steve and I reviewed. Steve, you want to comment on this? It's more than engineer, which is an architect. He does not. I'm throwing you under the bus.
No, actually, we talked about this a little different, because we both forgot our file. But I do have the email response. I'll be ready to you without the name, when I responded back to the board office. This was actually turned in by plan review agency. And I reviewed the drawings of 3 different projects designed by this architect. Hickory Wall Clubhouse, Mount Vista Church, and a residential development called Addison and Rossview. The church drawing are the only one on the set that has the engineer drawing. The others, the architect stamped all the drawings. The church did have an engineer, but the rest of the plumbing, HVAC. The other 2 projects, the architect stamped them all. My comment was that it's very unusual for an architect to have this level of expertise. And I think the board has some history with this register. And I suggested that, I don't remember what that is, I think I even had a plan that I reviewed, but someone from the board may have that detail for it. But I thought the board made a recommendation, and I was here for some reason. But I think they have been sent.
Yeah, I haven't read the facts of the record, but it's actually written in here.
Is it on this?
I can read it in the record. Steve Wright was the person. I haven't put a recommendation on it. You know, if I had to, I think this is the case. Just verification. Some people.
This is a review for,
Yes.
this is a 4. I don't know.
This is somebody who thinks they know better.
Or they don't care. One or 2.
Or both. Yeah.
But a quick question. Before we jump in, you got that motion. I'm taking it by the previous, there was a $4,000 consent order, that it was a fairly substantial offense the first time, or first times that they had.
And these offenses are the same thing. So this is a case of not learning.
Andy, let me put this out. Steve mentioned this is coming from the building official, everything. Building official, this account. So,
We do our due diligence. And you okay, well, maybe not, we'll take a look every time. So, you know, that's the recommendation. It's up to the review board.
I think Philip has a motion.
Chairman, right up to actually set the board. I'd like to
Motion. Second, any further discussion?
Well, I mean, yes,
What is the purpose of the hearing to do?
He's practicing
I
outside.
understand, I know, but I mean, you said something about revocation.
but what we would do is authorize similar settlement office voluntary revocation of the pay. And then we believe the formal hearing is revocation. If you really want to make it serious, you can ask for revocation of the civil penalty of $1,000. It's not just revocation, it's also showing your displeasure by catching the civil penalty.
The civil penalty on the notice is the voting.
It could be, but really what it's being Congress. Going to the stocks. It's got pay penalties.
Has he paid the full time?
Yeah.
Okay.
The penalty's not the point, it's just symbolic for us to say, okay, we want your license and we want you to pay the unit. But that's a recommendation, we haven't had a recommendation.
Don't be too much.
Just for discussion, just out of curiosity, you know, within these structures, or these projects, and subsequently, the service will use it up.
Well, the evidence is since we got like reviewing authorities and they provide for
That we know of.
we know that would be somebody like they didn't do it in our land.
But if they do, having to go through permitting process, this guy up here, you know, they're on to this package.
They're below my tree.
Yeah, this is the fourth complaint that I know of.
The building official says this is either board in June. And then access.
How long, how long has this been going on?
Well, I don't really know the answer about that. I can tell you, because I know this is the fourth complaint that I know of. The major thing I
Based on how we just hope. Right, you say,
Well, your question was, is $1,000 enough? Or, that was your question, thank you. Is $1,000 enough, or do we just want to have a full complaint?
I suggest the self offering reputation of thousands. Actually, it's for insurance.
3 projects, with 20 or more sheets.
Okay, I mean, it's fine.
I mean, I'm just, because what we, historically, what we've done here is we've funded $4,000 on one complaint.
It's not like you can't justify 100 years. I thought it was 5 years
Per sheet.
well, but before, I think I remember the 4,000. It was 1,000. Yeah, so 500
Per sheet.
per.
Yes. Offense.
Yeah.
I mean, this could be $20,000.
Okay, so
I mean, it's 3 full projects to stamp every sheet.
So, let's just go out and see what the license is. Not like
Yeah, but does that mean that, how long is that going to take? This for, how long will it take to run this license? 5 years? Well, I mean, but realistically,
shorter than so we would have to set a hearing.
thank you.
If we filed the notice of hearing charges, 30 days. Well, so they.
This is not a hearing where we would have to have it. Oh, is it? Yeah.
But we've been working to get an expert.
Yeah. Super question.
But only for those people license, is that for fixing them? Is that?
Certification. So thank you.
It's not a situation. But they won't get
State our state.
Do we state license? in our new business.
Wait for it.
Surprised that the blue folks are particularly rich. It is part of it.
Okay.
One up, sorry. And thank you for this purple one.
On page 10 of the purple. Paragraph 3. The affirmative vote, 5 or more members of the board should be necessary to vote for suspend the certificate of registration. That's it here. The board may reissue the certificate of registration to any person whose certificate is revoked, provided that 5 or more members of the board vote in favor of such reissue for reasons the board may use. So they have to show up with the date flag and say, sorry, I'm written here. Except that you're going to believe it. The majority of you have to say, okay.
Right. Yep. Your motion is good, man. We have a second.
Yes.
Any additional comments? No. Yeah, we take the motion.
Investigation, last one, the hours Yeah, we'll take care of the former gift.
Authorize the settlement offer.
On the right, let me know about the hours.
Actually, what you're doing, you're authorizing the hearing with the board instead of for a similar revocation of the system.
Authorized council. You know, the rest of the people, about all.
We have a motion and a second. Any additional conversation? None. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. This is a bad number.
Yes. Okay, I think there is the next one here. 4 is respondent allegedly prepared drawings of the business building without visiting the site. Violation of our rule. Looks like they expired February 20. Gary, you want to look at this?
This involves, there's a date here that I just wanted to, I wanted to increase the number, I want to say one. And they did searches of this architect, and they communicated with their local fire marshal's office as to what was needed so that they could give this approval as an existing building. And the architect responded with that he did visit the site and he did take photos of the site. And from the drawings that he submitted, I take that they would not have been able to do these things if he hadn't looked at the site. And the photos reflect that he did in his response. And his client, which is Jeremiah, anyway, it's a little difficult task, but anyway, everything that I see in here, he was compliant with presenting this as built so that they could get the state to give approval. As it turns out, this is where the glitch comes in. The original fire marshal review working with us, there's communication, and he was compliant with what the fire marshal, both the local fire marshal and the state fire marshal review were saying. His documents reflect that. That fire marshal, that reviewer, retired and was handed to another reviewer. And that reviewer is one that filed a complaint saying that he got this site. From what I'm seeing here, with all the communications, the drawings, that apparently there was when the original reviewer retired, someone picked up, maybe notes, whatever, in that file, weren't translated, or he didn't write them down so that it was documented, so when they went to the new reviewer, he would see the history. So I say we dismiss it.
Do we have a motion? Is it your motion?
Yes.
Do we have a second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Two cases. Have to do with advertising. Plain alleges that respondents out of state firm were for architectural engineering services in Tennessee. In connection with the project that was submitted to the SFMO for review and approval of potential violations of statute. Respondents do not have any Tennessee registered architects and engineers for the proper disclosure on the file of the board. Respondent number one, as a prior complaint, was the same thing. Respondent one complied with the board's request to remove references to Tennessee and change the code for further action. Number one is back and forth. So the authority is to authorize a formal hearing, authority to settle in order for civil penalty of $5,000.
Do we have a motion? More questions?
So, question, is that for both? The two respondents here, Rob, is that,
I think what I was thinking was 500 each, so we'll make that clear with $70.
but if the respondent one has done this before,
Yes.
I think respondent one needs to have a, let me make a motion. I think respondent one needs to have an authorized formal hearing with authority to settle consent order for a civil penalty of $1,000. Respondent two is to authorize a formal hearing with the authority to settle a consent order for civil penalty of $500. And I'm kind of holding my breath here, but I think both probably need to take and pass the laws and rules
I'm saying this.
Can we get a second on
I'll
that?
second.
No, we got a
Well,
second.
they're not registered here. They're not licensed.
Well, let me ask you a question then. Can we notify the state in which to register their offense? So that will carry a significant penalty for them.
Yep. Well, I mean, we can just notify them.
Okay.
So I would respectfully request to remove this, to pass the laws and rules.
I know.
Sorry. That's usually if you want Philip to go ahead and go on with your motion, you say that anytime.
We should call that amendment A. And so you add amendment A to that?
I was thinking, we should actually formally rename it, so that this one will be known as.
Do we need a motion on that?
We can do a resolution.
We have a motion and a second. Do we need additional conversation regarding that? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries.
All right.
Is that it?
Quick question, Mr. Chairman, do we have any indication of when we're coming? December or in the, not first of the year?
Not December. I'm pretty confident but maybe February.
It's good.
It's not like-
Know in advance. Thank you.
It's not like we haven't filed charges, it's just they settle out.
But we've got days blocked out.
Now, they-
Case we need it. And it's very likely there'll be at least one continuance. Right. That's almost expected.
So this Miller vote. So it's certain.
I would suggest we do it. This, again, we can't wait already. He's doing another one right now. Or two, three, whatever.
We did have experts secured for that case. Other contractors in process.
They're, they're moving. Thank you, Sorry, guys. All right, the director's report is next on our agenda.
Yes, director's report. We do have some items on the iPad, but first, tell you a little bit about national council meetings. Hal Alford, Billy Lynn, Stephen King, Laura Reingold, Rob Herndon, and I attended the NCAAS annual meeting in Seattle, Washington in August. We do have a written report on that meeting on the agenda and materials. I also attended an NCAR member board executives committee meeting in Washington, D.C. in September. Rick attended a professional conduct committee meeting in August, I believe.
Yes.
Yep. Are there any other board members serving on committees at present? I think that's it for right now. Bill Lockwood, Jerry Henley, and I attended the CLARB annual meeting in Reston, Virginia at the end of September, and you have a written report on that as well. Susan Ballard and I will attend the CIDQ annual meeting in Albuquerque, New Mexico on November 14th and 15th. And Frank Wagster and I will attend the NCAR member board chairs, member board executives conference in Indianapolis on Halloween, November 1st. Yes. Okay. Okay. Exam development. Okay. But as Candy reported, Hal and Laura delivered a presentation on PBS and other issues last month. And Hal, Laura, and I delivered a presentation on engineering licensure at Lipscomb University on October the 1st, which was video.
Good.
And I understand it's going to be placed on YouTube. So
How was it?
they're supposed to send me the link, so I'll be sure to send that link to everybody.
No, you will not. You will not.
Yes, send it to me.
Kickity wants it too.
Yeah, it did, yeah, I did.
It's ulterior.
Do we need a sign-in sheet for that?
Yeah, it should be entertaining. I'm gonna let Rob give us an update on our rules. Of course, we did approve some rules in August of last year, and those have had to be resubmitted, I think. What's the status on those?
Before you get started, let me ask one quick question. And I think we talked about it slightly yesterday, but I'm not sure it may misplaced it. We had discussed as an engineering committee doing something with the foreign registration.
Are you talking about the
Japan.
licensing agreement?
Yeah,
Japan.
Did we decide something yesterday and I missed it, or did we leave that? I just thought, I've not seen it.
Y'all just reiterating your support for doing that. But we've got to repeal our residency requirement rule first.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that'll happen on this rule.
That's part of our August 2013 rule.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't see it on here, I did, we discussed it briefly. Okay, I'm sorry, I got it wrong.
Your call, Peters.
Thank you.
Okay, the rules we did before, I went to the AG's office, discussed the status of those 2 weeks ago. They're ready. They filed with the Secretary of State. So with the statutory timeout way, they will become effective. At some point, we're probably gonna get a notification from the Government Operations Committee. Alright.
Are you in timeout? Just go back over there, you're in timeout. Sorry, Ron.
Well, when we get the notification from the GOC to come up and explain the rules, and like somebody to work with us, you know, keep that in mind, maybe somebody can volunteer.
Where is this? Where are you going?
Well, when the rules are filed for approval, filed to become effective, the Government Operations Committee is going to send an application for us to go up and explain the rules.
Oh, this is the state too, see?
Yes.
Okay.
The legislature, so I'd like some of the alternatives to show that
You want a member of each profession or?
you don't have to say or do it. Please
Be there, yeah. I think we can accommodate that. Yeah, when is that, Rocky? Do you have a preliminary date?
Well, follow next week, they'll become effective in 90 days. That'll be
Okay.
actually be before then.
Well, actually, our next meeting, our first meeting in 15 is September. Okay.
It'll be before the effective date. So.
Okay. Well, as long as you notify us, then we get maybe some for each division. Just be there.
The rules that we just started, yes, they haven't left the department yet. We're fixing them back on their way, but this is the way, as you can see, this is the way it is. It's not me, it's not doing anything, it's just that. That's the goodness of it.
What kind of comments in general do you get? Are they just check this, check that, or?
Okay, worse. Here's one. Space. There it is.
But I mean, they're not trying to change the rules in these time periods.
No, they've actually been to the Attorney General for reapproval already. They have to go there for one and a half. Now we're just trying to get them up to the commission by the state to sign off. Oh, no, it's approved.
And I think Susan had asked about making some changes to the, like the reference requirements for interior design. But we can't do, yeah, for educators, we can't do that at this point because we already have some pending changes that were approved last August to that same rule. So we're gonna have to wait. We're gonna have to wait until those changes take effect before we can make more changes. So that's further holding us up. It is in the hopper, that's right. It's in the hopper. Still have not issued our newsletter for this year, as you normally do two issues, probably just one issue this year. And we were going to publish our FAQs on UVS, the revised ones in that newsletter, so I don't know if we want to hold off on that until maybe next year, publishing those FAQs again. And I had reported earlier that our new licensing system, which has been done before, I don't remember what that stands for off the top of my head. It's a cutesy acronym. That's been delayed. It was going to be implemented in December. It's going to be a few months later than that. So a little behind schedule, but hopefully is in process on that. Questions on what I've presented so far? Page 81, you have a spreadsheet showing all of our open complaints as of October the 6th. And you can see we have 6 or 32% over 180 days old. However, all of those have had clock stopping action. I think in each case, a formal hearing has been authorized. So we're in compliance there. 6 hearings are authorized to be heard currently by the board. And we've got a percent on time rate of 92%, which is well above the department's goal of 75%. So that's good. Yes, yeah, we do a good job. And you have additional complaint reports behind that. I'm not going to go into detail on that. Questions? Page 88, you have a Wanda spreadsheet showing the number of licensure applications reviewed and approved. And there should be no mathematical errors this time, because this is now done in Excel using formulas to do the calculations, not Word. So it should be good. But if not, again, errors are not responsible.
You're the best.
And page
John,
89.
quick question there too. In light of the discussion we had yesterday, we're seeing our exam comedy applications pretty much keep track of where we've been over the years. Like that's not what I thought. It's the FEs that are going.
Right. The FEs are right. And you do have licensing numbers on page 89, the total registers for each profession. And I believe that's it for my director's report, unless you don't have any further questions.
For our license information, our name on it.
Yeah, that has been accomplished. And which committee was it? Publications committee, I think, discussed Hal's suggestion that he made to me last month about adding board member biographies to the website, maybe some additional information about board members. Our department's in the process of redesigning all of the board websites at this point, so I've been informed that right now would not be a good time to do that. Our website's going to have to conform to whatever standard is established on that. So,
You just get my own report on.
oh, I'm sorry. Well, since he asked that question, it was relevant, so I'm sorry. No need for the, yes. Sorry about that.
All right, see back with that. Thank you, Susan. There's always the adult here. Thanks, George. You done? I'm done. Okay. Was the delegation was on March 5th.
Our guest
Welcome to the meeting. Came in late, I thought, who are these guys? Yeah, Wayne Wagner, Tennessee, Fire Sprinkler Contractor Association.
Chris Bainbridge was not able to be here. He sent me a late email saying that he's not able to come. I asked him if someone else from the state fire marshal's office could attend, but I haven't heard back from him. So there's nobody here from the state fire marshal's office. I don't recognize anyone.
Well, Wayne would like to go to the
And I think that-
Decide to have Dougie decide here.
Right, and I think these mics should be able to pick you up as long as you can speak up.
If you want to sit here, you can.
That'd be fine.
Oh, you understand, but just get close to the mic and please sign in before you leave.
We will do that. Thank y'all for allowing us to come and get your meeting, and Candy and I worked a lot up on top of the hill, the legislative closet, and enjoy your work with the engineers. We bumped into a couple times over the years, but hey, it's all good, it worked out. I do want to tell you how much I appreciate the engineering group, supporting us in the last legislative session on this legislation that we dropped about taking sprinklers out of churches. We're in the TASER, committee right now. We should be getting the final report. It looks like the TASER is going to, recommend that legislation doesn't go any further. It's just a bad piece of legislation, opened up the door for many, many things. I don't, of course, y'all know legislators, they don't really see the local side of it, you see those issues. But we do appreciate your support on that, and certainly, look forward to working with you in the future. I have Elka Andrews with me and Paul Satterwhite, both are on the board of directors for the Tennessee Fire Sprinkler Contractor. And we've had an issue come up, and we have been a long time coming to the board. We should be back here before we sit down for a long time, but we ought to make a visit every once in a while just to talk, you know, anything we can help to make things work better for all of us. And it just seems like, it's telling Elka out in the lobby, I've been with the association 14 years. I'm the past fire chief, fire marshal in Ross County, Tennessee. Got some friends in here that we've worked with for a long time down there. And sprinklers is my passion. That's the reason why I do what I do. I work in the sprinkler industry. And I built a program now inside the industry called Marketing the Fire Sprinkler Concept. I find it's really maddening anymore, you know, to find something that's so good, to be so malaligned and misunderstood. And we're just thinking every day there's something popping up about fire sprinklers. I would have never thought that back when I started my fire career. But it's working with groups like yours and the architects that, you know, we could make a lot of things happen, especially through the code process and make them ease installation. That's one of the things I am very profound on right now, is making it better for our end users, the owners, the builders, to make it easier to get the system put in. So that's kind of one of the reasons why we're here. And I'm actually going to turn it over to Elka. Elka is, from my engineering standpoint, is our person that we go to. Elka or Steve Nesky, basically, we talked about the heavy engineering issue. It's good to have Elka out here today. Paul is a contractor. Elka is a utility contractor and an engineer. So I'm going to let Elka take it on.
My name is Ilka Hamroser. I'm for Judging Senior Department of Ilka Hamroser. And then I got married, and should change my name. Anyway, the issue that we are facing is that we are seeing more and more, specifically in the fire sprinkler industry, project specifications that are requiring in all shop drawings and periodic calculations be performed and sealed by a PE. Even though there's already a clear record on the project that has sealed a set of documents, a set of design and documents, and reports to the standard here. Building permits issued, jobs is bid according to those documents. So that is the issue. It brings up two questions. One, is it ethical? I mean, basically, that engineer segregated all liability from this to the other engineer that has to do the shop building regulations. That's my first question. I have conversation. The second is that all shop drawings by state law are required to be signed by the Army. The Army, that's a sprinkler contractor's responsibility. That is, they have to have the name. They do not have to have a PE on staff. There are very few PEs that hold my name. I have one, but there are not many of those. How do you meet that requirement if that is associated with it's the responsible management employee. And it's very specific to the fire sprinkler industry. You won't see this in mechanical or structural or electrical. So it's a little bit of a twist where on the mechanical side, maybe this is not so unheard of to say, I'm going to need to do shop drawings. But then again, mechanicals don't do a lot of shop drawings. They're already done for them. Where on sprinkler, that's not the case. The sprinkler contractor does not have to do until it says shop drawings. So we're seeing that things look at that.
So how does one earn the credential already?
Two ways. You have to go through the NICET testing, which is also, you have to do NICET level 3, I believe, is over a 5-year learning process. And most of these are out of National Institute of Certified Engineering Technologies that are received out, or any PE can become an RME by default. If you can show competency in fire protection, even though you're a civil PE or a mechanical PE, if you show competency in fire protection, you can also get an RME that way without any skill testing.
Yes.
5 state harmony.
Yep. Yes, and it's very important. The RMB is actually the person, when you apply for a sprinkler contractor license, you have to have an RMB on board. The RMB, there could be the same person or two different people. As in bigger companies, they may have 4 or 5 people as competent. I said level 3, but they only have one RMB. That person is responsible for inspection, land review, specifications. I mean, it's kind of a big global thing for a person. And to get to that, you've got to have at least 5 years in the industry. You've got to go through the NICEP level testing, which is completely changed. And actually, it's somewhat of an arm of the Society of Fire Protection Engineers, where they get their questions and answers for the testing. So basically, what it's kind of come down to is that the term RME has been kind of loosely used when it comes to the approval. But basically, in the contracting law, the sprinkler contracting law specifically, you've got to have an RME that's responsible for the sprinkler contractor license in the company. That's the person that has to put their number and name on a set of food products. I'm sorry.
No, it's not. And that we're having a problem marrying that. How does the second PE, you know, and I work with a lot of people. They come to me and saying, I've got to set shop for a specification on these things wrong. Well, I can't do that. A, there's already an engineer working on the project, but the specifications are crystal clear, and these GCs and others are putting them out too far. So I guess, as a PE, I want to know, you know, what do we do to make this right? Is it ethical just to do that? That's the whole question. And number 2, what can we do to help mitigate this or steer this in the correct direction? We are seeing this primarily from out-of-state companies, big national firms that come in, Phelps Stewart, it's Maryland, Phelps Stewart, they have an engineering firm that does all their work, it's all we see that Tuesday factory, it's another one with that, and they're good 2 layers. But that's it. Yeah, discussion.
Okay, and I know John made, I mean, I was last week, this is just the fire sprinkler law a little bit, because we didn't have to go back to the fresh. About this stuff, I'll get into that. Number 2, the fire sprinkler, when you're talking about this is a set of drawings, it's a film. And there's a component called the fire sprinkler. It's no different in my world than including a conversation. And by somebody else, and I say, use this type of pump station, and I get the drawings from those people and they do whatever. So the equivalence in my world is we're supposed to, on our set of drawings, say, I designed all this pump station drawing by others. So that's what you're saying is they're not giving you the requisite credit. They're acting like they designed the fire sprinkler system, and then they're turning it over to somebody so they can certify the shop down with the system.
And their drawing is actually going to the source jurisdiction. They're acting as, well,
They're acting like they designed.
the original contractor that we talked about is the engineer of record, the employee member. So he's coming to us, still wanting us to have the same. Right. So what they require on
But they're asking for a second.
That's our issue.
That's the problem.
that's correct.
Which
may be a little different from what you said,
I'm
Rob.
just trying to use
The
it.
pump station, or I think, I'm not sure when you take it from the package kind of thing. The sprinkler system really is, different every single building. You know, the prototype of it, it's like an electrical system for building, or it's different plumbing. It's different every time, so it's a unique design every building. The history is, John, you can go ahead on this thing. The history is, at some point, I think, probably 25 years ago or so, the mechanical engineers who were doing fire protection design started to decrease the information on the drawings, and it ended up being a note on the drawings that said, provide a sprinkler system to each other. And that was moving in the wrong direction, and everything was put on the sprinkler system. And so the state developed the standard of care for fire protection design. It says PD shall include these things, shall do these things and include them in design, and it's about 40 to 50 items. They have to do things like the PE needs to decide, what the occupancy has at this level. The PE needs to do some calculation to determine whether a pump is going to be on. The PE needs to show the path to the farthest zone.
You're not passing those around.
Okay.
That policy.
They've got to show the source of the water, where's the water coming from. Because what owners were getting stuck with, and this is the health safety welfare issue, the drawings would go out with just that one note, and they find out we don't have water for a sprinkler system. And now we're faced with, maybe $100,000 cost to, increase water lines from a mile away. So there was a welfare issue for owners. So the standard of care was developed. So now a PE has to do those things, and then the contractor takes it from there and develops the detailed shop drawings that show the entire system and the entire detail of the article. So when I looked at this issue, John said that was submitted here tonight. I agree with what's being said. That the PE doing a design and then requiring another PE to do another design is not good for the client, not good for the user, not good for the state. It sounds to me like a PE who doesn't really know fire protection wants somebody else to be responsible. And so I think that it's not within our rules, and certainly the spirit of the rules, to have a design PE require another PE to create another set of rules.
Question, what you're saying is that, you have your MEP consultant, they do a sprinkler drawing. They take it to one level that establishes the basic design, and then once the contractor, whoever the successful contractor is, that contractor then goes to the sprinkler, a licensed sprinkler company, and they prepare the actual shop drawing with all the details, etc., and the additional calculations needed to prove that the system will function as designed for approval by the fire marshal.
Okay, that's what we look at. And basically, no budget in HCS, I do it all the time, is design concept. That's what the engineer recommends, design concept. And that's taken over to the sprinkler contract, and they take that to the items of whatever the items are in here. And you guys worked on this. I was here when all this happened. We actually have the decision chart, and they back to the original standard of care to help you make that decision. Gets to the sprinkler contractor, they do the layout, or the technician or layout technician does that. Then the engineer of record has to approve, not scan, but approve the layout, the And that's what we keep the class on this for the 8th grade. That's how we keep still looking. Two groups I'm looking for, number one is the design concept, number two is the layout. Equipment contract approved by
Design build, facility panels, and support design build. You can see it in government contracts, just about every state, city, water treatment plant, government contracts, very constituent about that. All your shop trucks. It's not a big problem, but
And then are you self-consulting on that project? So,
it works better. I got you're actually seeing.
okay, but they've got it all laid out, the heads are put together, and all the answers to 40 questions. The next thing you have to the bank and say, okay, now, well, that's what I'm gonna do this.
I would not do it that way. If they come to me earlier in my project and say, hey, I can afford this project, and we sit down and go over this design. And how it's actually involved with the design, I think that's, yes, I would.
Even though they have to prepare the documents, which is fine.
Right, yes, yes.
Yeah, you're not just putting stamps on it.
Exactly.
That's part of the design build.
Yeah, that's what we want to build, or we want to better want to, yeah, if it's your answer to the question is still valid, it's still the same answer, yes, that is possible to do. But the whole, in our opinion, still has to sign this, it's still responsible for the shop yard, even if you still, that it's supposed to be all for each day. The contractor wants to have to sign off, they're responsible for that inspection. And so the analysis is like two people and an owner, and it's gonna get, it's not, all about this project. Even though, I agree.
I've got, yeah, Ricky.
Yeah, I think that if it's being set up in more design build where a contractor is understood they're gonna provide the design, so they'll have to have a meeting, where they have one on staff, they hire one. They would be brought in during the design phase, because that's the intent of all of this, is to discover, do the sprinkler design during the design phase, not wait until the plans are going out for review, then you discover all these things won't work. That's the problem. So I don't think our rules and our standard of care would, I think they would allow the design build path, under certain circumstances, but with the circumstances they described, the design and build. I don't think it works for us for that requirement to have a second set of PE drawings. And I think you're doing the right. I think you're doing the right thing with our roof and ceiling drawings, that you're not concealing somebody else's design.
Without.
But she could.
Well, she's not, she doesn't have responsible charge of the design. It stays out the designer.
And that she's involved early in the process.
Unless she is if she is the responsible charge design engineer, because she was involved in design build, then yes. But if there was another engineer who stamped design drawing, they have responsible charge of the design. I don't think it's within our rules that somebody else can come in and stamp the design again unless the first engineer was fired. I think there's a problem.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it really quick.
See,
Yeah, I'm a little confused since I'm a little different. But there are some things that just sort of lean some similarities without a lot. Again, some civil packages, you'll see
retaining walls that are, this is a, that's sort of pull it away, and that little entity is a design build. So the designer will say, here's where we need a wall, here's how high it needs to be. Contractor, you go design it, and you submit it back for approval. In that situation, that original designer does not design that wall. So this board would want some regimen to stamp that design. So in the sprinkler situation, I keep hearing about the contractors doing certain things that sound to me like design. So somebody's got to stamp it.
But in your wall example, that original engineer, it's clear that they didn't design that wall, correct?
Right, it's clear.
In this, what they're running into, it's not clear who's the engineer. The original engineer did a sprinkler.
This board should want to know who that designer is, who did the details, not the layout, who did the details of that the sprinkler system to make it work.
Well, there's design criteria in what constitutes design, and that's what the standard of care is. That takes sprinkler design to a level. But it does, for instance, you don't have to show all the piping in the system. You don't have to show all sprinkler heads in the system for a design engineer.
That's a little different than other things.
It is.
I don't understand.
It is a little different than, right, the sprinkler, there's a lot of sprinkler design driven by code. You know, it's all defined in an FBA, more so than other trades, more than HVAC or civil or plumbing, or plumbing a little bit like it, but there's a lot of sprinkler design that's dictated by code, like how far away from the wall can a sprinkler head be before you need another sprinkler head, overhangs, underhangs, and so it's very code driven. So I think that's why it's run that way, that detailed drawing is done by a contractor.
The first thing in context for you is the design engineer, the engineer of record for design, the documents, the water supply, the occupancy, type of system. Those are the three main things that we would write down on the instructions.
The material sheet.
Well,
They can dictate materials. Yeah.
That basically says that the sprinkler contributions, it makes it, they could go into the code, that way, everything else. But those pieces, that engineer is responsible for that contract. So rubber tires, the high, that comes with the contract. And there's no issue.
And then that design criteria has to be the 813, which is the standard for the installation. That gives all the minutia of where the pipe, how it's running, how much water, what the heads are going to be. And that's why the RME is important, that is the layout there. Go back and does put the piping, it does make the anchors and all that stuff. So it is totally different than what you said about, so it's just like your water section, your lift section. There's criteria, we know, but it's not big like an FDA standard that says this is this. Yeah, I was going to ask a question. I mean, I understand based on the design engineer building, but if the design engineer goes back to like and just takes that whole segment with the sprinkler system out and says, I want the design, I want it done by the contractor. And he's not done any of that first part, he's asking the engineer for the contractor to do that. So when you're starting from scratch and you're doing all that design.
So you're okay with that?
But that's still, we do what we call design build all the time, where EC covers all the, as the sprinkler contract. And there's no design here except for that, so I'll contract with the EC to work with the project. Do design intent, we go over the design intent, I price it up, and there's package.
But if you're, you already have this, you're saying do it again, start all the way over again.
Well, that's what I'm asking is that, okay, maybe it's not a design engineer, maybe it's an architect. It's doing the building. He basically said, okay, the sprinkler system, I'm asking, contractor and the engineer to provide that. how do we use that?
Yes, do that one.
However, I don't think that that meets the whole effort of developing the standard of care. I don't think that meets that criteria because it's gotta happen during the design phase. Because if it doesn't happen
Here,
during,
excuse me, what are we trying to drill down to here? We talked about this for, coming out from day one.
What page is that? Should I, is that legal for me to, if I see that specification in the book, okay? Can I go to the shop drawing and seal it, it's the same thing, right? So,
Is this a fire marshal requirement?
you know, did you see on her,
if the specifications of the engineer of record on project drawings out for bid,
I think the specification that a contractor did on. If that contractor comes to me and says, look, this is what I got.
If you're not in responsible charge as a drawing, you shouldn't be sitting on the drawing. In my opinion. Yeah, that was, I'm obviously not getting.
So I, basically what I'm getting from him is that first engineer has completed everything, all liabilities.
So you have the ability, you do it, that's where I get back to the conversation scenario. You have the ability that somebody that comes along later to do work on part of that design, to specify what part of the design is responsible. That's in our laws.
That's where it's hard right there.
But that's in our laws, and I think we would think the other year in high school that for that very reason, because we used to do it, say, but what we basically saying, because of so many of our projects now, there's so many different components to it, that the engineer record line gets a little fuzzy. But we want to know, if you're gonna come in front of this board, we're gonna discipline you, we don't know what we're disciplining. If you did a bad job designing, we don't want to know if you did a bad job designing, good, that's not what you're doing, okay? So, and what we're looking at is, if you would be on that city line, it's a, I designed a E6 better than anyone whatever. But I designed this, and on those pages, this is what I designed. And you can list that with your stamp, or you can put a disclaimer note on there or something that allows you to do that, so that you're not responsible for it, because we see on the water project, I use the DDOT project for example. The DDOT project, they have a separate person doing the drainage design, they have a separate person doing the vertical components, they have a separate person doing all the asphalt design, and all those things will figure on different sheets that they go through. So if it's something that you design, and that's your sheet, you stand and say, I designed this for this, and I did it, I was doing our review information, and this is my recommendation. I mean, you're not plan standing. I mean, if somebody sends you something and you stand it, you're in trouble. But if you review it and make your recommendations, make it perfectly clear, like Robert said, what you did, I don't see a problem with it unless someone will it.
it goes back to those points that they're the engineer, right? They submitted their design and on to the local authority. That kind of still, I think, is the deal. Now, if you back to your specs, you got back to say, hey, we're not that comfortable with being project engineer. We want to use this, and specification facility.
Well, you're reviewing the drawing, you're making recommendations, and you still what you do. They've already got their seal on it, right?
They've got their skill on this line.
So if everybody's got some skin in this game, okay? So I don't think you're violating this where my colleagues here thinks you are the state.
Has the AHJ approved the
They got the districts, yes, they got a little bit from,
Right.
the original design.
So, by virtue of that, I think, again, back to their point, I think we're gonna, I think we're clear on where the line is. So I think with what Robert and Rick are telling you is that you can stamp it and make clear, I think you can use the standard here up.
Yes.
And you can say, make it clear that you're not, the PE in charge of the standard of care, you're the PD in charge of the shop floor. Yeah. And now, I think that the specs, that's not what the specs ask for, but I think that's what you gotta do with the PD.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way to deal with it.
Right, that's right.
This is the right way to do everything. Not our problem.
Right.
That's the best we can do right now.
Right.
Under the guidelines of the board.
It's you, but, you know, the RME thing, you know, the RME is kind of what the state will do. When you have to submit those shop drawings, RME is not to sign, somebody else's layout. You know, they're just responsible for the standard.
We have in the game, we're, as our state law says, you know, to do our shop drawing, says that we just have to have one by circumstances. The problem is they're putting additional burden on us, like as far as secondary PED, down to our drawing, says the 40 pesos.
Now, you
Just as a point of information, so if you were doing your work with actual construction, are you checking the calculations that you're looking at, or you do the qualification? You do your own. So if you see a discrepancy, you raise the consciousness to do it.
but then you got the standard here.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's a good point now.
But yeah, I hope everyone does that. I know,
I'm
I
sure
know how
that
good she
everyone
is. She works a lot better than I do, so.
That is, as I'm saying, see, hearing this, as long as what they're doing, they, as you said, you start from scratch. If you see that there is a discrepancy, you bring it up to the original, and that and you're documenting everything, so you've got yourself, what you've done is you have your documentation, and it's all in order, you do your due diligence to satisfy the requirements. So with that in mind, you should be, okay.
And going back to the previous RFP, yeah, well, that's something this board doesn't have experience with. That's like a CFES or some other, office from the professional stuff. That's something that we as a board, the RD, that's something separately different.
Yeah.
We don't have your different over there. What happens.
That's the state farm market, that's what we have to take. Like, we want to-
That right, state farm. So I hope the answer is that you're not in violation. We don't think, as long as you're doing what you're doing. Someone else might be, but, you know, if you're doing the best you can in other circumstances. If somebody files a complaint against you, it's, we know what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
You got documentation, what you do.
But is this
Standard of care.
But is the board okay with the spirit of the relationship between the contractor or the RFP and the engineer?
Right, or comfortable with what you do. Now, if everybody do it to that standard of care, but the way you explained it, I think the board is in favor of
Well, yeah,
what
I
you do.
understand that, but I'm talking about an extra burden of requiring.
We don't require that.
I don't think what he's asking is, I don't think our board is comfortable with a professional engineer requiring a professional engineer to totally redo the design and take full responsibility. I don't think we're responsible for that because of the standard of care for the I don't know what we do about it, because what they're saying is, well, I mean, there has to be a complaint, again, there will be a recommended practice, to put it in your wording. I think at this point, unless it's an epidemic, there needs to be a complaint against the PE. And I don't know. And then it would, yeah, then it would, we see full discussion here, and we would actually look at what the specs actually doing.
And then Ricky would be the viewer.
When it, complaint needs to be issued. That's, yeah.
That was specifically over how the board,
Well, you would never approve that.
I've seen several drawings like that.
Well, I know, but you as a professional would never do that. And that's so, the onus is on someone else, the committee, or something, that they would check calculations. And I mean, it's fire marshal issue, it's not a state board issue.
Well, that's why I'm saying, if there's a.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's a requirement, but I mean, it's a requirement, not the state fire marshal, that it's written.
It's all still short.
From the shotgun. It's a requirement.
Like what you said.
Yeah, yeah, but, we don't have any control of farming on this, so I think we would not want to.
Do you feel like that would it be helpful if we got a position statement?
I would never do that.
It would be very helpful to have that, even though I know you can't say, the owner has every right to say, I want to get a contract, they have every right to say that. My problem is more, A, that's part of the contractor, but B, the person engineer is just, it's not on these,
And it probably is, but what this board wants is for any design, if it's appropriate design professional, seal on that. We're not gonna say who you gotta do it. Right, but to protect the welfare of the public, it needs to own the detail. Details need to be certain.
And we've already said. We said,
We'll come to it back.
Yeah, well,
Thank you. I think a position statement would be great, you know, with that part of the website.
Part of that thing.
well, we can read, what we do, what we can, pull out a different care, the document, 96. And we be working on such any design to be done by the professional engineer shop. Stand by that. I think we can add to the standard, and if it does seem to be appropriate, thank you. Is it okay to do this? We can say, no, but it's not.
so can we let the engineer committee review this and make it have a position?
This chair of it.
Well, he knows, he sees
the most familiar. He was the most familiar.
Mr. Chairman, I think Paul brought up a good point about this is what we wrote, this is all right. He might mind, he might support mine, the design comes down to design profession. On the front end, they do this with Paul, rather than have these happen on me. But, so, it happens all the time, that a section of this, it's just my new expertise, so I'm gonna be the one that we build on. But I'm not gonna do things I have to do structural for the portion. But I wonder, this is my thought, I feel we actually stop many people in locations, and I feel speak to them, that are all, whether people are all in the law rooms, people are more extended, so it's incumbent of us, while we have one of these every day, we just feature it, give us our stuff, because it's the issue, it's not right. And it just doesn't mean, maybe needs to go there, we're not display, but I think display more expectations, look at it, and I think, and we can get some attention, that's my.
Regarding perhaps revision to standard here, I'm sitting here at the end of this, where Ricky or whoever drafts, we can sit down and weigh our contractors association.
We wouldn't do it unilaterally without second.
Sure. I could make one comment on the other side. Standard of care is just an observation. Standard of care is fairly decent. Yeah, the state is, they do a pretty good job. But yeah, the standard of care is very lacking. It was federal jurisdiction.
But we have, say, we have on the board of directors, if I say, respectful, we have done several updates on our annual meeting on the standard of care to try to get the age to protect us over. Because when, I was actually sitting on the table when that was developed, and we worked really hard to put the parts in it that we thought the HJ wanted to see. And it's just so hard to get down to become a part of the process. Like Paul said, the state does great on it, but it is down to local, it's got to be on by local.
Well, I would say, engineers have kind of like a few standards, if they know what's going in the state, they do a good job at it, but that goes to state, they're kind of like.
Well, Paul, I think to clarify my understanding is there is one standard, there's only one standard here in Tennessee. Whether it's on the state fire marshal or those are local code officials, the engineers are supposed to be the standard here with all projects. So if there's not, it's not that it's okay that there's two levels, that's a problem with the local authority.
Right. Well, Wade, Elton, Paul, thank you very much for engaging in the conversation. And we're not going to have any complaints. We hope. I've already forgotten it. I don't know anybody's last name. Philip.
They signed it.
They did sign it. Thank you for clarifying. I'll wear it. Yeah. I think the next agenda item is unfinished business by John Calvin. Do we need to take a break yet, John? Or 10 o'clock here. Can we take a 15, 20-minute break?
Yeah, let's let a couple hours.
Just take, well, I went to school for taking a 2-hour break.
How long, Grace?
15, 20 minutes. It's, re-adjourn. We were
I just made it work, so.
Yeah. No, we don't need to debate that.
Exactly.
Let's see, where are we? We're on unfinished business with John Cochran. Action items, apprenticeship program, qualification based on which is going to be really fun. And use of the still on the review letters, John.
Okay, action items are on page 90 on your iPads. Of course, we've already had an update on the status of the rules. Rob was going to update us on that. Regarding inviting SFMO and local codes enforcement reps to attend future meetings, of course, we were hoping the fire marshal's office would be in attendance today, but they had to cancel at the last minute. So I'm going to invite Chris Bainbridge and any other reps that want to attend from the fire marshal's office to the December meeting, and then we can follow up with local officials as well for future meetings.
Scott, can I make this one quick question? Having TDOT here yesterday, I thought was a good discussion, and I think we ought to continue that. And so, not just with TDOT, but with other organizations, we've got a representative from TDOT here today, but I think having different groups to just be able to dialogue helps us understand issues that come up. Plus, it helps them understand where we are in certain things too. And I just think that's nothing but beneficial to do what we do as a board now.
Right.
So thank you for doing that.
I think that's the biggest upside is they get to speak up.
Hard to do.
Yeah,
All right. And also, I did notify NCAR of our position on the proposed IDD, BPA, BEFA changes, and that's been accomplished. So all the items have been taken care of. Yeah. Except for the last one, board members review all board meetings. Only you can answer that.
So moved.
All right, apprenticeship program plan. Let's see where I'm page 58. This is a draft of the plan that I prepared. I've already submitted it to our deputy commissioner. He requested them the second, just a draft of the plan, so I've already sent this to him, but this is not necessarily the final version that we'll submit. And basically, just in a nutshell, just as a reminder, a bill passed this year requiring boards and commissions to develop a plan to either create an apprenticeship program or report on an existing or a previously existing apprenticeship program. But the legislation did not define apprentice program, so we're not exactly sure what they're looking for, if they're looking at this as an avenue to obtain a license without education, just through on-the-job experience or through maybe some combination of instruction, training, testing. Not exactly sure, but the way I'm pitching this based on our previous discussions is that our current requirements for registration would constitute an apprentice program for the purposes of this legislation. That's the way we're trying to sell it. That we already have a plan in place, and that's, you know, for the architects, you've got your education, your IDP program, you've got the examination, and similar for the other professions, we have requirements very specific for experience. So that's how we're selling it, and for each profession, I do a table summarizing the requirements, and then answering specific questions that have been raised by the legislature when the program was created, historical data on the program, description of the program and its objectives, number of persons licensed, employed, which employed we don't, of course, keep numbers on that, but we've thrown in some statistics from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And I added this, because I think the Assistant Commissioner's Office noted this may have been the primary impetus behind the legislation. Recent efforts to streamline and accelerate the licensure process. I think that's really the idea behind all of this. So I've sort of outlined how for each profession there have been efforts made that are in process to try to accelerate the licensure process, such as allowing early testing or decoupling of experience. Those are for engineers, that's a proposal, of course, but that's already in place for architects, landscape architects, and there are other things mentioned as well. So you don't really have to vote on this, but I guess if there was a consensus that this is going in the right direction, that would be fine.
Chairman, I would have to John, actually, well, we just come to have to show up. I pay attention to the rule.
Always.
The fine way.
Now, I don't know exactly where we're going from here. I'm assuming this draft is going to be incorporated into a plan for the whole department. They're going to compile them all together for each board, each commission, and present it as one plan to the legislature. So I'm sure there's editing is going to occur. We can merge this plan with the accountancy board's plan, the contractors board, etc. We're going to have to merge these together. So I don't know what the final form of the plan is going to be. And of course, if the deputy commissioner comes back and says, you know, no, this is not going to work. Y'all need to draft a plan for licensure without education, for example. You know, we'll have to go back to square one.
Go back to.
I don't anticipate that happening, but
Yeah.
You know, there's always that possibility because I'm not really sure what they're looking for.
Right.
I know the accountancy board because I've talked to their director on a frequent basis. Their plan is very similar to ours. They're basically saying, hey, our current requirements constitute an apprentice plan. So they're taking the same tack that we are. But I don't know what all the boards are doing. Of course, most of the boards in our department are, they don't regulate professionals, it's more trades. So, anyway. Well, that's all I have on that. Like I said, you don't necessarily vote on it because this is not the final language per se. So, all right, that gives me what I need. And of course, we have QBS. And one thing that we didn't talk about yesterday, in light of our other discussions, is if I can find it. Here it is, the FAQs about QBS. That's on page 53. I had made a couple of revisions that y'all were okay with, based on comments submitted by the state architect's office. You said in the August meeting that you were okay with making these additions. Question 5 about statutes applying to nonprofit organizations like charter schools. The answer is that no, it doesn't apply, but the state architect suggested adding a statement that although the QBS law does not require QBS in these instances, the conditions of the source of funding, such as a governmental grant, may still require QBS. So I added that language. Yep. In question 16, can price be considered when selecting a design professional for a public project? I added language clarifying that you start with the most qualified firm. If negotiations fail, you go to the next most qualified. So it's trying to make that sequence a little clearer in the response. If the contracting agency and most highly qualified firm are unable to negotiate a reasonable contract, the agency may formally terminate negotiations and undertake negotiations with the next most qualified firm, continuing the process until an agreement is reached. So it's just trying to clarify that you start with the most qualified. You don't start with number 3 or number 2, etc. Which seems obvious, but probably a good idea to clarify it.
I'm sorry, Candy.
Jim, I'm sorry, you get off of that front, which one is number 5?
Number 5, this is like, this is something that you said.
Page 2. Yeah.
That doesn't require PPS. But they still require PPS.
Well, if
If the
source
funding
of funding
agency says-
says,
Well, and I understand what you're saying, it says regardless of the source of
Okay.
funding, then they
Okay.
Let me give you, just for education, we do utility grants a lot of times. So rural development will require, or for a CDBG grant application, which is through the agency, will require that we submit our proposals to be selected before we're able to do the project on a QBS basis. So, and other grants have similar hooks because they're all backed by federal money. They still have to come under the Brooks Act. So that's it.
well, those are the only 2 changes I drafted. And they either make sure you have any additional changes to consider or direction on how to proceed, especially with the consultants issue.
Yesterday in the conversation, I don't want to do it, because I think it was clear that we are having trouble. And that's why we said something to like weigh in on this. My feeling on that was when we made the first FAQ, which is what we had built from, it formed the register about the subject was based on our conversation, how we see things together. And kind of Rob was based on your take on where we were with that issue, or maybe it was John, I can't remember. And what I heard yesterday was a little bit of different guidance from Rob. What I'm hearing maybe is that there's a little bit of, maybe not a little bit, but there is. I'm not sure how we modify that. And so my question yesterday was more on saying, I don't think we as a group are able to come to an out without some guidance, legal guidance. I don't know that that necessarily has to be different in general, like legal school, although that knows the situation. Perhaps it's maybe Rob being able to research and think about it, you and John being able to again, not wanting to reopen the conversation, but I don't want to put it there. You know, I guess the other question I have is, it is going to be perhaps we need Rob's advice.
Well, I'll do a suggestion based on the conversation we had. I would request that you submit to the board your kind of the latest understanding and back it up with kind of the white paper and why it is, so that we can begin addressing that internally before we go to
if we go.
If we got, thank you, Bill.
now, basically, you've come up with really a different slant on the criteria based on what we've heard, over the last 2 meetings. So based on what you're seeing, if you could kind of really back that up, with the original legislation, Brooks Act, kind of attach that in kind of a format that we could do take.
And to finish this conversation, this is a really, this is an important issue, and I know Ruth and I both spoke to this, it affects a lot of people, the way they do business. And so I think it's very important to get it right for us to send a message out, right? When we're talking about it.
And I agree, we need to allow our county, who is an engineer and a lawyer, to understand our industry before we go to HCA. Let's try to internalize this if we can. And if Dennis would ever agree with him.
So the burden goes, thank you, I didn't,
No, I
Well,
totally.
Rick,
Yes.
you won't fire him, you'll send him to another.
Another board.
Let me make this one quick, and I'm not, again, not trying to belabor the point, but on number 18 topic, instead of just saying, fly it out, which I think is what we've seen from what I've seen on the Brooks Act, I think we need to say something like, no, based on the current understanding of what the Brooks Act says, blah, blah, blah. That way, because I think at the end of the day, number 18, it doesn't matter, Rob may come up with his opinion on exactly, and it may be very well thought out, the thing may be down to the thing, but at some point, I think number 18 will come down to an 18. Because he may have a different, slant on exactly what's going on, because somebody may take it that far now. But I think we ought to let people understand that we're making our decision not just on, because the Brooks Act says, or one of the commentaries that we were reading says that it does not apply to such. So I just think we need to say based on our understanding. John, does that make sense?
Yeah, just say something like, no, based on the board's current interpretation of the statute.
Yeah.
I think say something like our current interpretation is that TCA,
Yeah.
14107, just kind of a bit.
Because I think that way if new information comes to light, we've got given ourselves a way to say, okay, our understanding is changed. Yeah. Well, but I think we've got some more absolute.
I wish we could change 18 just to say, in keeping with the spirit of the law, the board urges registration takes the other stuff out. I don't put a yes or no.
Let's leave that to council.
I'm not gonna work with it.
Yeah, it's in base.
Yeah. We can wordsmith it all day, but I won't leave it to council. Tell me what to do. Good idea. They may tell you that that's fine, go back and make the decision, or they'll say something.
There's a light interpretation. But I never see a system in these.
But do y'all want to vote on the changes that we discussed?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pick it up.
So,
Three changes.
we have a motion and a second on the changes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say aye. Same. I think that motion did. All right.
Okay. Yeah, we'll revise the FAQs, post the units on the website, and whenever we publish our newsletter, they'll be in the with the additional language that number 18's interpretation there is provisional interpretation. The policy regarding use of PV seal on the relays. That is page 28 on your iPads. This was discussed by the engineer, and they were okay with it. Ricky drafted it, so.
I think this was just prepared because we were getting questions. what is okay for the staff, and what should they not stand regarding different things that were occurring, so that's why this was occurring to help people out.
I think that this addresses, previous sprinkler issue. That's what you're expecting to, why they're doing the calculation. I like that.
So y'all would need to form a document sales policy. You're okay.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Second, any discussion? Where I see this show up. Let's take one, we'll just say we're going to fire one, and close there.
Well, not that specific issue, but that does seem like there would be like what a code official might say. The engineer needs to put a speed stamp on this, and sometimes our answer is sorry. And so that, yeah,
The note has, just, like, the engineers, that are, it's good, so, and that's what it is. In fact, I used to people in the road. We have applied with what they want to do, it's just better, also, it's straight to the, it's really good for the ride, it's very effective, like, the road. But I, you know, this is saying,
yeah, yeah, and maybe.
yeah. But I just say that some people are.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, it does come into play sometimes with if the code official doesn't feel like they have the expertise to review the drawings and decide what they're doing. Review, kind of take a code review of it. I think that occurs, but I think this gives people a little more information. They need to be careful not to understand what's being designed. But it's okay to maybe write a letter and stamp the letter. That might be, there may be ways that you can satisfy code official other than stamping somebody else's drawing.
Yeah, I guess, probably would be a good,
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting, but I'm not sure what it's saying, but
So which one?
high school, it said they have to be required by the eighth grade. Yeah.
That's for the industrial exemption. You're in a plant, it's a decent production line, something like that. We don't, that from being
Just bracket, industrial exception at the end of that. CIE industrial exception, maybe.
yeah, there might not be, there may be others. But yeah.
Well, I can clearly, I guess the question is, what product is it? That may get to your authority. Yeah, if you've got a local, if you've got an authority wanting you to sign something that you're not supposed to sign, you know, they're requiring, or they're asking for it, if it's implemented, what happens in the law. If you come back to this, the book is not, it's not like. So they're actually assigned fire suppression then, and they're saying that through you, so look, if you can look at that, whatever.
They could ask somebody, if you just stopped in the period after product, they could ask the manufacturer product, if somebody stand that. They may not say, yeah, it may not be the design engineer, but somebody got it. Because this was, there can be some products that are spaces rooms that have walkways on them. And we don't do design documents, but they could say the manufacturer needs to provide standard with that. That's exempted, I think. You know, there are situations where that, you know,
That's good.
well, I mean, they could say, we need to see here, and that. There are some things that are just, like, that's why it may be good to have the regulation.
Then I, may not be good for our then I can go back to the law and accept. Yeah, we get the terms.
You know,
The notion there is design control.
Design in terms of building and lease and.
And I think the local jurisdiction wanted a Tennessee register signs that the Tennessee register had no, you know, and they had a letter or something from the manufacturer that if the register didn't design, so why should he sign it? And it was in the industry.
Go back to our systems, though, and our definition of whether it's a non-office or an hours that we talked about. System, conditioning system. So I want to be careful that we're not hypocritical on this. But I think the way it's written is correct. But someone may ask the question, you know, especially as it relates to the BHJ, I think that's when there's confusion maybe by the design consultant or designer. What if he reads our rules, he or she, if they read our rules, and they believe they have concealed something, then the BHJ or whatever project they're working on says they don't. It could be a little confusing. So I think with anything that we produce, I think we need to err on the side of caution and consult the intelligent if it even to the point of making it overly obvious, and then adjust back if we find that and practice these things don't work. So it's not the same. I think the language should stay as it is right now.
We have on two minutes ago.
or that Frank and that enough discussion on that. I think the manufacturer product is in there because it's more the question, why the question came up. That's what it is.
I was just wondering what the
Process piece of equipment that's specific to the plant site that has no bearing on the public health and safety aspect or line.
The production line is manufactured by someone else, or what they do, like Kodak or whatever. Right? There is a motion to send. All in favor, signify by aye. Aye. All opposed, signify by
business.
Okay, we've got authorization of travel stickers. Page 97. Moving on, this is our proposed travel budget for 2015. And new this year, I did add a category for miscellaneous expenses for in-state speaking engagements, because those we don't usually know in advance when those are going to occur. And it's just allowing a certain amount for that purpose. The rest of them are normal national council meetings and, of course, board meetings that we attend. There is a NCAAS Board President's Assembly in Atlanta. This year they do those every 2 years in February. So typically we have an engineer member and myself attend those meetings, and that's entirely paid by NCAAS. And I guess normally the chair of the engineer committee is that meeting, which happens to be Hal. But if he couldn't attend for some reason, if there was a conflict, he would see that. And I think the others are just our typical meetings that we have every year.
How far in advance is these meetings?
It's actually on the agenda for several.
Okay.
We don't have to do that on the engineering's the only profession where we really have to do that, because we don't generally send all the engineers, all 6, to every meeting. And all year I budgeted to send 3 board members, executive director and the NCAAS regional, and again trying to send all 6 to the annual meeting. Right. I don't know that we necessarily need to send everybody to the regional. Yeah. Oh yeah, this would be a good time to. Now you will need to adopt this, but we could also discuss where you want to hold the planning session next October. Typically we do it at a university, but yeah, we haven't been at UTC since 2006, I believe.
Our new library will be
Or 05, maybe. It's been a while.
Oh, is that?
Ah,
Go figure out all the code knowledge.
Yeah,
We can go pick it apart.
Now, big next step. As long as we don't have to go to
we had a good meeting.
We did.
Like in
Yeah, that was
2002.
long.
I talked to Dean about that.
That was
yesterday, when they were leaving. We had a great time.
Yeah, it was a nice
Stayed at that, hotel that's Operation North Train.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, good. Years ago. Typically we alternate, we do the state park, we have in even years, and then a school on odd years, and use that as a licensure promotion opportunity. It's been many years since we did these things. That's a great opportunity. We do have both an interior design and an engineering program. So it's,
So, we just have our own mail out. We're close to this time. It'll be.
Because it's the full Monty, I don't want to go with that.
Oh, I'm sorry, I used the wrong term. You're right. My bad, sorry.
so y'all like UTC? And maybe,
I think it's,
I think in our rotation, about time to go to UTC. There are some we haven't visited before, UT Martin, partly because it's so isolated. Yeah, and there's only a small engineering program. One of the
And no
schools, Union, we haven't been to.
no one, Nick.
Christian, we've been in Memphis, they're like just down the street from the university. Okay, we'll try to tentatively it'll be UTC. And then of course 2016 we have the invitation for Vanderbilt, assuming that their building's ready. Maybe have our next needs meeting there. Yeah. Be a good place. I'll follow her. Dr. Roberts. Thinking about it. So anyways, we'll get a motion.
Second. Any additional, we have a motion and a second, any additional conversation? Comment?
I'll just, another thing to point out, I did budget beforehand for 2 board members to go to the bar meeting for me. So this year Jerry wanted, might be good to have an engineer go to.
Well, noting where it's covered. Like you call it.
Yeah, you're an architect, you go vote, you want it twice next year.
I'll put my name in that. Barb next year.
Okay, you're interested.
Unless somebody else throws your name in. Oh, you could definitely make some candidates for that.
Yeah. After harvest.
We're gonna have to do an Indian leg wrestling thing for that. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any additional comments? All in favor, please signify by aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The motion carries.
Next, you have the report on the Clark that you will be. That's page 11, I'm sorry, page 10. Because that occurred in September in Reston, Virginia, outside DC. We did have a member board executives exchange, after which we went to the Clark headquarters and they showed us around, gave us information on council records, the path to Clark certification, etc. They did present a proposal to simplify their exam eligibility standard, where it would simply be that candidates must hold either an accredited degree, landscape architecture, or be approved by a member board. And we had a lot of discussion about changing demographics, how that's going to impact licensure and regulation, proposed changes to Clark governance, a model board proposal to encourage strategic thinking. You do have that chart for your information on the next page. And also data and trends from the LARE. That's the big picture overview. Yes, Jerry, Bill, you want to put that? Reading through that. It was a very good meeting. Jerry enjoyed it. Found it to be informative.
Yes. Great. And one thing I can say, with Clark and Stevens, they just put in Clark and Stevens, probably yes, with the very great coalitions and wanting to give them great guidance here in front.
And then we have the NCES annual meeting, which we actually didn't talk about it. Engineer committee meeting, we ran out of time. But it's on page 91 is where that starts. You have a written report. That was in Seattle in August. I'll just hit some of the highlights. There was a change to amend the model law to disconnect, decouple the experience requirement from taking the PE exam. So that would potentially allow the candidates to sit for the PE after they graduate and pass the FE before they complete their experience. Of course, that's up to states to adopt. Several states have already implemented that change, like Kentucky, South Carolina, Louisiana, there's several that have done that. The motion passed to state that licensees change the model rules to state that licensees shall not use confidential information for personal profit. Of course, that's been discussed in our meetings this week. I think y'all looked on that favorably, making that change to our rules. But that'll be in the committee reports later. They did amend definitions of engineering to provide greater clarity. A motion passed to remove additional education requirements
called the Masters of Equivalent for D plus 30 from the model law, because it's feared that would cause confusion, and that starting in 2020, very few engineers would qualify for model law status, which would have a big impact on comedy, reciprocity licensure. So that's going to be moved to the position statement instead. That's a very significant change. That language was added to the model law in 2006. No state has implemented it to date. That's being moved to the position statement. And they are going to offer exams in Taiwan. They negotiate the contract. Also, there was a change to amend the model law regarding licensure requirements for comedy applicants to state that they can be licensed if they present proof of minimal competency, which the MBA committee and the board administrators committee proposed could be, just as an example, maybe 10 years of licensure without discipline in another jurisdiction or something to that effect. That's going to have to be defined later, and the engineer committee discussed that motion in August and was not comfortable with that language, but it did pass on the consent agenda. We thought it had been removed from the consent. We're embarrassed to say we thought it had been removed from the consent agenda, when in fact it had not been, so it passed as part of the consent agenda. I'm going to blame it on Al, but he blames it on me. So I think it's all about the law. But you know, they present, so I mean, how many motions do they present these things? Like 50, 60 motions, so it is hard to keep track sometimes. But that has not been defined yet, so we can still have input into how minimal competence is defined in future meetings. And I think that's all I have to report. That's in the things that more information. You do have the detailed motions beginning on page 93. You want to drill down and explore those further. About faculty licensure. I didn't include that because I didn't consider that was in the engineers forum. Yeah. And I think I kind of jumped ahead. Authorization of travel and speakers under new business. That's actually a standing item we're going to include on the agenda. If someone's going to be attending a conference where they're going to deliver a presentation, where the board can authorize them to seek travel reimbursement. So I did that. I got that confused with proposed travel. But if there's anybody that's going to be speaking coming a couple of months, December is coming up. December is coming up. So I don't know how we will do it. There won't be any travel, but you could authorize myself to speak at those meetings. Wherever else. Yeah, even if you're representing the board.
A second to what's going to be. The motion is to authorize the opportunity. What do we just authorize all?
Any board member available is authorized to attend these events and speak.
Yeah. All right. Second. Aye.
Okay, and the last new business item is application exam deadline dates. It's on page 98. These apply only to the PP exams because all the other exams are computer based or never had deadlines for it. It's
on this.
That's right.
I'm sorry. I'm confused about this.
So y'all are kind of technically out of order.
Oh, yes, you
Yes,
are.
I are.
So you gotta get, you interrupt me, son. There you go.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
No, or against, none. All right, motion carries. Thank you. I was just asking the question, this is structural engineering, we don't have a separate classification. We've never seen it.
They do allow them to sit for the structure of the houses. There's a separate
Well,
16 hours.
I know in Illinois, we'll be working there. Yes, sir. Thank you. Is that it for the new business?
That's it. Just be good.
Committee reports, interior design committee.
So we met yesterday, and, Ron was going that we need to change the major campers, request for registration of the cannot practice. Teaching and research, they had eliminated the request for private case. Based on some information on the price, 43 euro letters, 690 individuals are vaccines. So they have different registered.
Okay, the committee met with, and we discussed, some of the language, on the clock. And also, John, where's it on the iPad, the language that we want on?
What do you think about the proposed law rule?
Yes.
Yeah, that's early on.
Yeah, and that's on page 7, if you'll see this, we talked about, defining what the practice of architecture is. And this is based on the INCAR, monologue, and we voted to, modify this, so we meet our standards, standards you'll see. And the other items, were, we've already approved those, the, what was it was,
About the comedy statute.
yeah, the county statute, and the other statutes that we discussed previously with those. It's really the only thing that we have to work out is the practice of architecture. And if we do that, we may want to define what practice of engineering is, and practice of landscaping. If we do this, and we're gonna do this, I think, just for architecture. So y'all need to think about if you will do that.
Dr. White,
Do or don't. Okay, that's fine. I mean, that's up to you guys. I think we're gonna look at this. Well, part of the problem we got with this is that they want us to, include, construction administration. And I've got clients that don't want us to do CA. And so, like I said, you're either pregnant or not. Because we're not gonna do CA, we're not gonna do one thing for CA. So we're still gonna be in a liability. And we're not gonna do. If any kid you run out and let know, either I'm in or I'm out. And we'll discuss it. But that's my report. Was, you up here? Yes.
engineering requirement. So, John, would you cover, we did audit, we did some app reviews, so we'll talk about those. John, would you talk about the law rule policy discussion we had? Are you ready to?
Yeah, I go back.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Let's see, law and order changes. I didn't know you were going to defer your report. All right. Yes. All right. Law and rule changes. My notes say the engineering committee decided to recommend that the law and rules committee study this issue and draft control definitions for each profession. So they want for study, not necessarily fully supportive of it at this point. They just want to see what those draft definitions will look like, study it further. Of course, they didn't really have a position to accommodate information since that involves the architects. And the rule about confidentiality would be not support. Thank you very much.
We met with some TDOT representatives, Mr. Campbell.
Sure. One of the initiatives that TDOT has come up with over the last 2 or 3 years is they really are emphasizing that their employees get PEs to have certain positions in TDOT, and I don't know all the different designations, but it's basically supervisory level. I think they require PE. And it's a tremendous goal, and I think something that's going to yield some real benefits to the long term. However, what they're going to do now is, in the construction division especially, we're getting applications that have come in that are hard to approve. And we kind of are in a little bit of a loop, going back and asking for additional information. And so there's a twofold thing. Are they qualified? And are we unnecessarily asking them to go through things that frustrate that process on something that we're trying to promote? So we had the TDOT representatives kind of explain what our issues were. Some is just clarity. The application may or may not be probably poorly written. They don't describe the experience well enough to get the elements that we're looking for in an approvable application. And then the references themselves sometimes don't have very compelling arguments or very compelling references to approve them. So we've asked them to go back and inform their employees of our concerns. Again, we want to make this to where they're qualified and we don't frustrate them in the process. We want to help them go forward in that because we think it's a very important thing that we're doing, and we encourage other state agencies to do it. I know TDEC is doing that more and more as well. But we don't want to continue also to tax our staff and us in this kind of thing. We need more of this, more of this, more of this, and they can kind of fix it on the front end. And I thought it was a really good discussion. District, I mean, I got the impression that they were, there's some points that I don't see potential, but like they were questioning some things, and we were able to explain our side. I think when we got done, we were all in pretty good shape moving forward. So, good discussion, John. Again, thank you for doing that. I think those are the kind of things that we can do more with our the different agencies, the different people that we impact.
On the issue of Mr. Carson, we asked John if the request by Mr. Carson had content that was any different than the last consideration, review, and discussion that we had had, to which he replied no. So we asked John to refresh us, to send us the engineering committee just the last correspondence to Mr. Carson, just for our refreshing, and we have no action on that particular issue at this time. Requirements of registration by county. John, you want to tell them what we spoke about in that?
Sure. The consensus was that, well, here's the whole background. The issue is with the early testing decoupling the experience from the exam. Some states like Kentucky allow candidates to sit for the PE before they make their experience. So the question is, say if you have an applicant in Kentucky, takes the PE exam with 2 years experience, passes it, and becomes registered after they obtain the required 4 years. If they come to Tennessee and apply by comedy, do we accept them, or are they going to have to take the PE exam again because they didn't do it after obtaining 4 years experience? Or in the right order that we would require from the exam applicant. And the consensus was that the comedy statute, my understanding of the conversation was, the comedy statute does not necessarily require that everything be done in the same order, just so they meet our minimum requirements at the time they apply for registration. As long as they have 4 years experience when they apply, then we can accept them.
That's part of what we discussed with kids.
Right, that led to further discussion about the decoupling.
And John, one reason we want to talk about that further is we don't want to put the registrants in the state of Tennessee at a disadvantage by having somebody be able to go into another state and do it a different way. If the registrants in the state of Tennessee don't think that's the path we need to go, we'll have to fix that on some way or the other.
And we're gonna generate some discussion topics to present to this public for her presentation consideration with her representative societies for that discussion in December. We're hoping to have the joint discussion at the end of everything is acceptable and can be arranged during our board meeting, and hopefully in December it will concur with the meetings of some of the professional societies. Great, thank you. On the grant guidelines relative to the fundamentals of engineering examiners, Mr. Young, would you mind describing what we talked about?
Well, you know, when we talked tonight about allocation, change in this, they want, I would like to talk about what about the equity of the way we fund election day. We've done this in this year, right? So my answer is what about the election? We had more what we also see is of the way we bring up maybe smoking something for us, blind.
Yes, architecture, design, drawings, lines, space, so that makes a surplus department.
One bottom line. This round of years, all the money out of but Mr. Campbell jumped on about the stuff that happened. The money gets tight. And they always stuff that gets long. That would be type of application money out there. And also, probably about it.
Yes. We also discussed the numbers of students, seniors, taking the FE because the price went up so much with the computerized testing. Number plummeted to 10 to 20% of people taking the FE test. And everybody's very worried about long-term. We're going to have a lot less people on the path to licensing. So that, we discussed that, we talked about using the grant money for paying for that exam cost. We told the school, yes, that was considered a description of what that was an issue. Already have CWS report licensing agreements with foreign jurisdictions.
Yeah, we didn't really discuss it much this time, but in the past, the committees, they liked the idea of establishing an agreement with Japan, the FD Examiners Council, I forget the exact name, it's the Japanese council for engineers, where, yeah, because Kentucky, Texas, both have agreements, maybe some other jurisdictions, those are the two I'm familiar with. And it's basically just a simple agreement stating that if they meet our requirements, the license, but it's really doesn't say a whole lot, but it's more symbolic, I guess, and it would encourage them to apply certainly into the season registration. But in order to implement that, we have to repeal our residency requirement rule for exam applicants.
And the only other comment would heard it yesterday with the representatives from the universities. Are these relationships with foreign jurisdictions, how do they impact the licensure practice of pathways that we avail our state registrants? I think we have to be considerate of that as we go into the relationship like that. We don't want to damage our state, but we want to encourage commerce and hopefully, and it's reciprocal where our registrants can then be available access in those foreign jurisdictions. So I'm just well, it's a little more than symbolic. I think there's some practice ramifications.
Well, not much for the city. From my discussions with the directors of the Kentucky and Texas Board, they have not seen a big influx of Japanese engineers coming into Texas, coming into Kentucky. They simply want the prestige of holding a U.S. license because that's held in such high esteem in their country. So that they have usually, in most cases, they have no intention of coming to the U.S. for practice. They just want that license to build their resume, I guess. Well, most states see that happen yet. So say it didn't happen.
Also, the education that we take some of our society, take some work with on that. I'm not saying it's bad, I think giving them recognition is one side, but I'm not really sure that the American rules will influence that. They will be, we will influence. We can do it all, but they have to be restricted to all. All the president. So if we get into this discussion, check out what is about conduct in the
Just again, per thought, that's basically the discussions. We've talked about the coupling issue, and we're going to discuss that with the professional societies. Ricky, would you take the last one, the policy UCC on the letters? I think we covered it. Yeah, I think we did. We went over the policy thing. Sorry, oh, yes. I'll pull that one. But we still managed, like, work too much. The Law and Rules Policy Committee, pages 7, 8, and 9. And that is discussed, we've already discussed, the practice of architecture, which did that. We talked about the practice of engineering, landscape, and then comedy. And then on 9, I think 9 was the one that we had more discussion about. I think 9. You were talking about landscape.
didn't have to, we didn't have to do it.
Well, I was just looking at the definition. I got engineers, not really good at defining it. It's pretty well.
Well, we may not, in our architectural, just because it's in conflict, we have to do that. Are there any comments on item number 5, in practice engineering? Yeah, with that, survey issue.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think with the challenge that I've taken for the engineers on the part of the lawsuit is to go try to find the history of why we've not done anything for this board and to try to understand a little bit more in depth of the issue of what we do not get defining practice engineering. Because I think we all talked about, we're always going to have arguments with the branch. It doesn't matter how we define it, we're always going to have church back and we're always going to have differences of opinion on what is incidental, what's not incidental, what's things. So I think we're not going to avoid that, but we need to understand if this is going to give us any other kind of benefit or if it's going to give us the negative. We need to understand how other boards in the past have not been very quick to try to adopt some sort of definition. So this has been out there for a while. It does not. Maybe it may be not. It's just change what we all have to. So that may be the answer that we need to do.
Speaking of the incidental, going back to page 7, the last sentence, a registered architect may perform such engineering work as is incidental to the practice of architecture. That's pretty simple stuff. What is the foundation that's done before, placing the number of whatever rebar and it's a small project, it's not, you're not designing a plant. We would never assume that we have that expertise. So if you can see that, I don't want you to get heartburn if we adopt it. Incidentals, incidentally, the French stuff, before yesterday, just throw that out there. Last page or number 9, and Robert brought it to the point here. We're considering the statement, applicants for registration as architect who hold a light, unexpired certificate of qualification for registration issue. Such person may indicate territory or possession of the United States or any country, and who hold an unexpired national certificate issued by INCAR shall be deemed to have met the registration requirements of this chapter and the rules established by the board. Where this comes into play is if someone is grandfathered in, it's passed an exam in Georgia, they cannot practice in DC because they don't meet our education requirements. So what this is stating is that we get blue jacket done.
Yeah.
If we get the blue cover from INCAR, then we're thinking that that's good enough. Because why would they be licensed in the United States if we can't license them? If we practice it for 25 years, it's kind of okay. But we're considering that. But yes, we would not drop that. But we would not penalize them because the education. If they're licensed nationally, why can't they be licensed?
Example, so many years ago, I was asked to see if I could get an Illinois license. I applied, and I council records sent up. And because I did not have a degree, they said, not accept me for the money. Now I go back to get a degree and refine and on that I could be licensed. And what we're trying to do there, and Chris is that the state, I don't know what year they changed, but the state changed statute
you ought to go back to the doctor. How long? Right now, how long?
Right. And that's why I say we're considering, we're not, obviously, we're not.
And say like my case, I did, at that time, I needed to go back, I needed to do the IDP. I had exactly what it came out. I had put my bird dog nose on it, tracking bags all over the country. I did that. I did everything except I didn't go through the, night part, they already.
Okay, agree on, questions on those videos, so we're trying to get through them. The last potential rule for discussion, we got that was, that last.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We don't.
Oh, no, we did, we decided we don't wish for that.
Oh, and I was gonna schedule a meeting in December to further discuss definitions.
But we're just, we're Good word. What's a better word? It says it's more what
Don't take
No,
over.
don't try.
I will
Go, Mr. Chairman. Go, Mr. Chairman.
All right, let's move on. Grants and higher education committee. Your AP copy gets close to you.
The, community review the applications. Proposal request. They will decide, they continue to emphasize that we want programs to emphasize on technology
Yeah.
And we're also going to continue to encourage them to have their education license. So, we have requested additional funds.
At least I don't understand that. We never got to do this. After making the chamber would recognize the job. Establish, like that's, they can. It's how the job is really good. Yes. Yes, we got to go.
They run an efficient operation. Lean and mean.
It's like, well, let me go to camp.
You just slept with me.
You wanted a free.
Yeah. What was free dinner last night?
Oh, well.
I think, you did. But they left the tip, which was about a half an hour. I think, whatever it was. Cheap.
No, well.
No, John has also sounded.
Yeah, and this, you will need to vote as a whole on the distribution, that's on page 30.
Do we need a motion?
Yeah.
Something.
Motion and a second, aye, discussion, aye. Opposed?
And it might be a good idea for the whole, I'm sorry.
We did.
I didn't declare a motion, Carrie.
Well, that's the grant application.
Yeah, do we
One,
have
I'm sorry, we didn't do a roll call, did we? We did. You must have been out.
But I would like that, what John's suggesting, that you ask for more money, something that we go.
Yeah, the 1% minimum thing.
Yes.
Susan.
The committee wants to make a motion that we add additional funds so that we can get 1% minimum grant for each program on the site. And that would require, plus additional funds.
Second.
Can I ask a question along those lines? Agree. Do we have, when you go do this, John, do you have a write-up that you have to do to request it? The rationale, justification?
Yeah, it's short.
Whatever comes.
Well, I mean, I think that's the answer, but
Unless
I
they
think
request
that's,
additional details. I haven't been submitted.
and I think that's the case. I think we say that the proposed governor's promise will, hopefully will enable more students to attend four-year universities. And the burden on those universities becomes greater. We are in position to help them in some of their needs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think the key is to exactly, you know, what future, probably how serious you are. That's the key. Right. You should stay in the law.
Well,
Get the problem, you might need some resources. It might be, we might want to ask for 50,000.
It may not raise many eyebrows, and it may get the pretty nice.
It's no money out of their pocket.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you're not conference until they decide to raise it.
Because the last couple of times I've requested increases, they haven't really asked for that information.
Yeah, exactly.
I just do an executive summary. We'll see.
Okay, if we have a motion in a second, all in favor of the motion, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Publications committee. Publications.
So,
you've always had your own.
We are gonna do some revisions to the reference manual. We'll send that out. I'll make some assignments to make those revisions. Talk about these other articles, get some things coming up, and we have on the agenda the logic is on the website, but I'm gonna do that. John, I'll leave it.
I guess you can add, what we talked about today, with adding.
but, anything falls in this policy.
Either way, it's you, it's all you.
Yeah, sure, that's your committee.
Of course, that might be a,
Put it on the
newsletter.
agenda for December. That's on the
Yeah.
agenda,
All I have to draft.
December's meeting. I got to put it on.
Okay, licensure outreach committee.
Comments on that, the discussion is just, discussion here about some of the things that they're doing, and just kind of expressing and continuing to facilitate our future programs. Emotions, encourage us, whatever it is.
Well, the other thing, one of the observations, you know, like logging, something, John, that would stop.
To ask them, get them to improve records of each of the programs and like it.
Yeah, those posters are gone. Showcase that.
Very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, two of those posters were made, 2 months ago, right? Last year, or January,
Yeah.
Also, in our breakout sessions, we sent out the letter last year about programs changing the name to material application, which we asked them not to do. And based on our feedback yesterday, they all listened to us, which I was very happy to take a step back and didn't want to make it just a simple name change, that we didn't need to do it, and we need to do it the right way. And so we had a great discussion, with the career colleges, architecture, interior design, interior design, like that, we're very comfortable. But, if we're going to consider changing it into an architecture, it needs to be colleges are going to establish criteria, examination, regulated, it's going to be whole ball. It's not gonna be.
And which college do they reference?
There are 20 colleges in the United States that currently have interior architecture, which I'm sure big large in the country. So we've got to do our due diligence and research and find out what's going on in the country. And here's my rationale for that. If someone who's in interior architecture wants to practice here, we don't have to do anything. My thought process is we need to get it ready. Because it's a big change coming in the university form for us. We need to be ready. I don't want people coming in and doing interior architecture that maybe construction work we would want to do, or that we allow them to do some things. We need to have something. It's not going to be but I think we need something about our office that we need to address.
And the dean's made that very clear, that the process of education changes so quickly now, and how they do. You get a graduate, and they decide to go do computer modeling, and they don't want to be an architect, but they go to degree in architecture. It's just a different world. So, it needs to be different.
I hope it is too. The first year we did that, we were working at Wrestling, next year it's efficiency. So, we're not setting out now, we're very much about it. So anyway, I think we just need to look at it and try to obviously address it.
Yeah. We didn't have it. Good. There are issues. And finance.
I went to the end of the staff and we were talking to them too. We were talking about the synopsis of their finance. We did a great job.
That's what I'll be trying to about.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you need to tell Francis what a good job she's doing.
Tell everything she said exactly right. We found out about the chicken and all that. I hated to read that. It's such a thing. I like it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, if you're interested in the financials, we're going to start on page 29. You can scroll through that exactly what everything looks.
I'll be happy to go through that in detail.
I
Line
wanna
by
know
line.
in detail line on 47.
Okay.
Hey, don't, you just walked it right now, back up.
Oh.
You see me, I'm collecting,
This is not this. I think Tai Chi, I know. That's John.
Okay, I make the motion every group.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. Well, that concludes the finance committee, report. We have general discussions and future plans, action on items discussed.
We don't have anything.
We've got it all.
Hey, I'm going by the agenda that's on.
You know, we talked about it recently, it's here.
So you can't say,
You're right.
shouldn't have stepped out of the room.
Y'all said, you can say, that's tentative still. They may say, no, we'll get a combination, all right. They couldn't. Then they have to go away.
Well, if there is no other motion again.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, say, let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here.